get you on the radio. Yeah, you gotta get on the radio. It doesn't take a long time.
You gotta get on the radio. Welcome back to Around the House. This is our Saturday special edition podcast. I want to explain it real quick, and we're going to talk about this towards the end of the show, so I'll leave a little bit towards the end there to touch base on this. But this is our Saturday podcast special right now, because on the radio, you're going to hear Hour 1 and Hour 2 on KXL or all over what is now called the Radio Northwest Network, and we'll talk about that at the end. But you're going to hear a best of show. What's that mean? Well, we're playing one from a few weeks back. That's what they're playing on the radio. This is your new content of the week. So this is the brand new stuff that you haven't heard before. So that's what this is. This will not be part of a best of. This is just our podcast here where we're going to talk about home improvement for what would be our 2 hours. So thanks for joining us. I've got my better half, Julie, in the studio here.
Hey there.
Hey, baby. All right. So we've been talking here. If you're just joining us, don't worry. It's back on hour number 1. We've been talking about my 10 mistakes that you make saving money that cost you money. Now, one thing I want to do is take a look up on our Facebook page. We're going to have a lot going on this week and probably some special announcements.
Yeah.
So this could be one of those press release kind of weeks.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, new stuff coming. So tune in, watch this. There's going to be some fun stuff ahead. I wish I could tell you about it, but I might. You know, last week I let a little bit out of the bag. Into the show today here by end of hour 2, I'll give you a little bit more information. So keep teasing you with it, but that's kind of what we're doing right now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening through this kind of remodeling project that we've got with Around the House. We're coming up here. This is, wow, in one more show, we go from 30 to 31 years old of a show.
Yeah.
So 1st of April, in that time frame, is our... There's a little debate on that because it was a long time ago before my time on Around the House. But we're coming up on 31 years of Around the House. So thanks, everybody, for listening, joining us in, and having some fun with us on the radio. So, hey, let's dive into this real quick. Number 5 on my list of at least top 10 mistakes you make, saving money that cost you more money. Hiring an unlicensed and bonded handyman. This is where Dane, who's out on assignment this week, he would go, oh, here comes Eric's soapbox about Nextdoor.
Yeah.
You know, Nextdoor is like watching a train wreck sometimes. There's some great stuff on there, and then there's a train wreck on there.
I did use it last week to reunite a dog with his owner.
See?
So that was
That's the good
good.
part. All right, there you go. There you go. Good point. That's a good one. That's a good one.
But that's about it.
Man, that is the new Craigslist, and you've heard me complain about it before. That is the new Craigslist for licensed and unlicensed and unbonded contractors. Now, there are some great licensed and bonded contractors that post up there correctly, that put up their CCB number. If you're in Oregon or you're, whatever your contractor's license number is in your state, because there's people all over the world that are listening to this podcast. But there are some clowns on there that are trying to skirt the system.
A lot of handyman ads.
And I can't tell any details about stuff right now, but I know of one project in the Portland metro area right now that is in the middle of a lawsuit with a contractor that took them for almost $500,000. If you were going to put the house back and fix it and do it like you were supposed to, it's probably a $500,000 project, and it's a mess.
And they weren't licensed and bonded?
Weren't licensed and bonded. Said they were. So these are things that you got to really be careful of. And it's your job as a consumer to do the research. Now in Washington and Oregon, where we have a lot of stations that listen to us here on the network, both states, if their insurance runs out or their bond runs out, they get notified, and within hours, that license is pulled online.
Good.
So that's the way it should be. So if you're getting a contractor and you've hired a contractor work, before you have them come over for the quote, look them up, check their numbers, make sure they're licensed and bonded. In Oregon, it's great. You can actually call them up and say, hey, what do you think about these guys?
Yeah. Oh, you can?
You can. You can call the Oregon CCB up and go, hey, I'm looking at, I'm going to make a name up here. ABC Construction. Could be a great company called ABC Construction.
Yeah, look out.
Not using anybody specific. I'm just making up a name here. You know, Acme Construction from all Washington. We're going to go back into Bugs Bunny days.
Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes. So you can call them up and say, hey, how do these guys look? Mm-hmm. They'll go through and go, yep, they're licensed, they're bonded, insured, and they have no complaints.
And that is a quick, less than 5-minute conversation to be your own advocate and to make sure you're getting the right person for the job. That's smart.
Now, they will say, well, yeah, they've had 3 or 4 complaints. Don't let one complaint blow up that relationship, I'll be honest. I know some great contractors out there that have had complaints by horrible consumers.
Yeah, there's always going to be that one person who's never happy, and no matter who they work with.
It's like going to a restaurant that had I'm not going to a restaurant that had one bad Yelp review.
Right.
I think every restaurant's had one bad Yelp review. So don't take that into consideration. However, they will sit there and go, oh yeah, this person's had a bunch of problems. They'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Great. Use that. So go through your process, spend your time, go through the whole thing. An hour before you sign that contract, I want you to go back. Right before you sign that contract. Heck, do it while the guy's standing there or the woman's standing right there in your house and say, hey, let me jump online real quick. I want to make sure that your CCV number is in effect. I want to make sure that from the point that 30, 40, 90 days before you check to see that they had a license, I want to make sure the day you're signing that contract, they had a license in there. Because now you're insured.
Right.
So the insurance and the bond are now valuable. If they were quoting you 4 months ago and you checked it there but didn't check it later, you might not be covered. Because the day you signed the contract, there wasn't insurance.
Oh,
so there's a
interesting.
little key. So go back and make sure that you've got that checked the day that you sign that thing. Double check that one. And it's really quick. You can jump online, whatever state you're in, and do it. That way you know what's going on. Then you're covered. But in the state of Washington and the state of Oregon, if you're a handyman, you need to be licensed and bonded. Don't let anybody else tell you different.
Gotcha.
Now, if you're a cleaning service in Oregon, so if you're a pressure washing service and all you're doing is cleaning, you don't need to have that. And here's one I learned a lesson too, is some companies that do polishing and sealing, like countertops and stuff like that, they kind of walk the fine line but don't need to be licensed and bonded.
Okay.
But if you're hiring a contractor and you go, they're not licensed, who cares? I'm just going to have them fix my gutters. Or, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to have them jump up on and fix that little hole in the roof real quick.
And then they fall off the roof.
And when they fall off the roof, they are your employee.
Yeah.
And as their employer, since they're working on your house, you are now fully responsible for the damages and their injuries. So, that guy gets paralyzed, you're buying that guy a house, basically, because you're paying for that. And if they're licensed and bonded and insured, they're going to get hauled off the ambulance, they're going to take care of it, and they're covered.
Right.
So, for the couple $100 that you might have saved, it could cost you $500,000 or whatever your insurance is.
Yeah, or just the headache of not having good work done and you're not protected.
Yeah, you're not protected. You know, if they burn your house down, guess what? You're protected.
Right.
So those are things you got to be really careful. So that's one of the biggest ones, and you hear me talk about all the time, but that is an important one. So let's jump to number 6. This is a big one here. Not getting the right renters or homeowners insurance. Do you need earthquake insurance? Yes. If you're in the western side of the state of Washington, Oregon, a lot of cases, pay for it. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
Maybe get a higher deductible, whatever you want. Get it. Do you need flood insurance? Can you get flood insurance? Are you in a flood-prone area? All these things, having an insurance agent that's going to really spend the time and get you dialed in.
Especially with that as a renter. Because I think as an owner, when you're going to buy the property, they're going to let you know you're in a flood zone. But as a renter, you may not know that.
You might not, yeah. And you might need to have that insurance for that.
Yeah.
And then take a look at what's it going to cover. Sometimes what happens, and you got to be careful with some of this stuff. Sometimes some insurance companies, and I've run into this before, I had my garage, came home, and I was living in Seattle. Imagine that. And somebody had came up, and I had these cool sliding barn doors on this 1920s garage that was really cool.
Nice.
Somebody came up with a pickup, pulled the garage doors off the front of the building.
Oh my gosh.
My garage doors were laying on my driveway, and my garage was empty. Every tool gone.
Are you a renter or owner at this point?
I was a renter. But here's one thing I didn't look with that insurance company. I didn't realize that even though it was well insured, I didn't realize that at the time, and I'd just been going through a divorce, that what happened was about $3,000 or $4,000, I had to go buy the stuff and then wait to be reimbursed. So I had to go spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 out of my own pocket,
Oh, wait.
submit the receipts, and then go back and get it reimbursed. Well, if you're a younger couple or maybe you don't have you need to look at that stuff because that's stuff that can burn you.
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden you're like, wow, I don't have $5,000 for somebody to borrow for 40 days, 30 days, even 15 days to get reimbursed for this. Especially if they're only going to give you 80% of it or whatever.
Yeah.
So make sure that you've got the real replacement value. Make sure you realize how they pay these things out. And those are things that you can really take a look at and make sure that you're covered correctly.
Yeah.
For us, always make sure you've got a lot more than what it takes and you'll be fine, but not the place to save money. So that's a good one. Hey, when we come back, let's go out and pay the bills here real quick.
Okay.
You like paying the bills?
I like you paying the bills.
Yeah, there we go. Let's pay the bills real quick. And when we come back, we'll dive into the rest of this list just as soon as Around the House returns.
Hold it. Shh. It's a clinker!
Dadgummit.
I think we all remember that furnace scene from the Christmas Story. Was that the last time you even thought about the maintenance of your heating and air conditioning system? Hey, it's Eric G. from Around the House. Regular maintenance of your heating and cooling system is required to keep it working efficiently and not leaving you hanging. So mention Eric G. sent you and get the spring tune-up special for just $119. For more information, visit pyramidheating.com. CCB 59382. CCB 54495. Hey, it's Eric G. with Around the House. Spring is here. Are you wanting to gain some space to your property with some natural beauty of a retaining wall? Is that old wall failing? The Wall can help. The Wall constructs all type of retaining walls from concrete block to natural stone, and of course recycled concrete. The process The Wall pioneered over 30 years ago. Check out their website, buythewall.com, and give them a call for a free estimate to 503-735-9255. Visit them online at buythewall.com. That's bythewall.com.
You know two things only get better with time. Women and wine.
Hey, this is
Farewell, Angelina.
and you're listening to Around the House with Eric G.
It goes down so smooth. Ooh, it makes me want to pour gold in this glass, 'cause that color red never looks so good, so good. Let's pour gold in this glass, 'cause that color red never looks so good, down to the last drop.
Welcome back to Around the House with Eric G. We're having a good time here in the
We
studio.
are.
Yeah. Who is that? That's Julie. That's my better half. She's in the passenger seat over here riding
there.
shotgun. Hey, baby. We're having fun in here today. So welcome back to the Saturday podcast here. Thanks for making it through the small commercial break. So got to pay the bills somehow. That's how we do it around here.
Yep.
So this is no infomercial. Let's dive into my top 10 mistakes you make saving money that cost you money. So reviewing where we came from in episode hour 1 to now. Number 1 that we had on the list was buying an inexpensive dishwasher. Next was not maintaining your heating and cooling system. 3 was installing your low-cost flooring from unknown sources. 4 was not hiring an interior designer for large projects. Next one was hiring an unlicensed and bonded handyman. The one we just talked about before the break was not getting the right renters or homeowners insurance. Now, number 7, taking the lowest bid on your remodel when you're hiring a contractor.
Yeah. It's tempting.
Oh, it's easy. Oh, man, this one's going to save me money. Now, I want to warn you on things out there, especially when times are good right now. You see, when times are good, you got different price points going on out there. You'll have the guy that's not a really good contractor that keeps getting thrown at projects and he's not finishing stuff, he's not making money. He comes in and it gets pretty desperate and throws a cheap number at you.
Right.
Here's what I'm worried about out there, and I've seen this thousands of times, and I mean thousands of times that I've seen this. You'll have guys that come in, girls that come in, whoever the contractor is, they actually come into your project, they look at it and go, okay, yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah, okay. We're going to do the kitchen remodel for $40,000. Go, wow, it's pretty freaking awesome. Kitchen remodel, $40,000. Wrote it down on one page, doesn't really define anything, doesn't really tell you what you're getting. You haven't talked about the details of what that kitchen remodel costs. Oh, $40,000. So then you get contractor B that comes in, the next guy. He comes in and looks around and goes, all right. Let me go out and look at your panel. Make sure your electrical's good for this kitchen remodel you're doing. Okay. You want new appliances? Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to do the flooring here. Oh, man, your electrical. We got to do some electrical here, plumbing, that kind of stuff. You want under your light cabinets? You want lights under there for task lighting under your cabinets? You want crown molding up there? Great. Okay. I'm going to paint the ceiling and all that, do all that. Okay. That window's got to go, right? Yeah, I'm going to change that window. Great. Okay, cool. He comes back at $71,000. And you go, whoa. I'm getting another bid. So then you get the next one come in. She comes in, looks around, and goes, all right, cool. Asks all the same question. The last guy comes around and goes, yeah, man, whew. Yeah, I think that heating duct's got to move. Yeah, I got to do that. Wow, that plumbing is bad going back to the water heater. That's galvanized. Do you want us to change that? And you go, yeah, sure. Cool. Okay. She's at $82,000.
Oh, man. It's going up.
Going up. And you look at it and go, man, I'm going to go with guy number one. Girl number one.
Who asked 0 questions.
Asked 0 questions, $40,000. Man, I'm going to take that project. Let's go. You're my money. You're saving me money. They come in, sign the contract. Everything seems legitimate. They're a licensed bonded contractor. Everything looks decent. Tears it open and goes, wow, your electrical's bad. You're like, oh my gosh, how much is that going to be? $8,000. We got to fix that. New
Okay.
panel. Okay, change order. Electrician's in there working. Plumber shows up to start plumbing because you moved the sink over a little bit. And goes, whoa, your plumbing's bad all the way back to the water heater. We got to fix that. How much is that going to be? $5,000. Oh, man. Kitchen starts going along. You're like, oh, there's change order number 2. This is killing me. We don't have task lighting? Well, I wanted task lighting. Oh, yeah, didn't catch that. Wasn't in the contract.
How much is that going to cost me?
Yeah, there's another couple grand in task lighting because now the electrician's got to come back and run another circuit back there again. So then you're going through and you're like, you see him moving around your old white appliances and you're like, we haven't ordered appliances yet. And he goes, we're ordering appliances? There's another $5,000. Guess what? Now you got an $85,000 project.
Right.
That was your low bid because they didn't ask enough questions.
On purpose, I would imagine,
On purpose,
right?
there is. I tell you what, there are contractors out there, and I'm gonna quantify this first. There are thousands of amazing contractors out there that do a great job. Then there's that few, just like any other trade, any other profession,
Right.
that maybe aren't as legitimate, and they are what I call your change order queens, because they go around and write as narrow of a contract as they can. Mm-hmm. And where do they make their money? They come in really low and say, you know something? They're going to want this. We're going to find this.
Right.
I'm going to make all my money on the change orders. That's how it goes with commercial projects. You'll see this too. You'll see on commercial projects, that's where a lot of this comes from. Commercial projects are that way. They'll bid, get it all in there, and then as soon as the change order comes around, bam. Oh, you want to change that out. Big number. Then they make their money off of that. So it's that same mentality. And you really get burned with that.
So, do people tend to call and talk about this or complain? Like, if you were to, like earlier you stated, you could call Oregon and Washington, say, hey, here's this contractor, here's their number. Any complaints? How are they? Do you think people are calling and talking about that? Or
technically, it's not legal. They didn't find it. Wasn't spelled out in the contract. Didn't say that they were changing out the electrical.
Right.
Didn't say they were changing out the plumbing. But these other people had it in their bids.
Right.
And
okay.
you got lured in by the half-price kitchen remodel. You know, that's the other trick I see too, is I see, okay, let's use these same contractors. Contractor 1 thought he was providing you with labor. Oh, you need to go to Home Depot to get that faucet. You're going to need a Home Depot to get that sink. Oh, yeah. Well, go pick out your tile at Lowe's. Run over and get that. Pick it up and bring it home.
So you're constantly
All of a sudden, you're
checks.
buying materials. You're buying materials. And you're buying materials in a place that's homeowner friendly. And that's the other one. Ask the contractor and figure out how much they're marking materials up. I like open book style contractors. Mm-hmm. I don't like contractors that send on major projects that send their clients out to go shopping by themselves. Go to the home center, get this. Those are actually a little bit of warning signs to me. Because there are some good ones that do it that way, but you really need to have somebody like a designer holding your hand through this process.
Right.
But so many times you'll see people going to pick this up, going to pick that up, making those choices, buying it, bringing it home. That should have been the project. My type of bids that I like to see are itemized to some extent. They'll have allowances. So somebody that I know that works that way, Ryan with REF Construction. I've worked with REF for years. Mm-hmm. You go down through the bid. There's cabinet knobs on there. There's an allowance for everything.
Right.
And he has those things. If it's on the allowance, you can see what it is. But you can also look through it when you're reading through the bid and go, hey, man, you only had a $400 toilet on there, and I really want this $1,000 toilet. Oh, okay. Well, then let's add to that allowance.
Yeah.
The great thing with an allowance type bid is if the numbers are real and they did a good job, now you have some control of your budget costs. What I don't like is just that whole single sheet, kitchen remodel, white cabinets, granite countertops, tile floor, you pick it out, ready to go.
So it's not a detailed bid. That should raise a red flag and you should ask some more questions.
Yeah. Especially, I don't want to see exactly what the subs costs are and some of that stuff. I'm not so concerned about that. I want to see what the scope is.
Yeah.
A lot of contractors that I know out there, I like to see their markups in that 10 is almost too low these days. I'll be honest. I say this because what happens is I'll give you a good example. Let's say you're hiring a contractor to do flooring for you, and you pick that flooring out. Well, they're going to mark that stuff up 10%. That really doesn't cover their time to order it, their taxes they have to pay for it, going through their bills.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, the liability they have if something goes wrong. Honestly, I want to see about a 15% markup as minimum. Anything under 10, that's a little, they're probably eating it on some materials with the labor they're doing. And so that's a little tight. But 15, 20% markup on stuff, yeah, that's legitimate. But the cool thing is they might be getting a 30% discount on flooring or lighting and things like that. So even when they're buying it through and they're marking it up, you're still saving maybe 10% off what the retail price is. Mm-hmm. And you've got somebody that's doing it. Now, here's the other secret to this as well. If they bought the material, it's covered under their warranty.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So if that company says, we're going to give you a 2-year warranty on things that are installed on the project, great. Well, if you went out and bought the toilet leaks, it's your toilet. I'll send the plumber out. It's going to cost another $150, $200 for him to come out and replace the toilet you bought.
Right.
If the plumber brought it out and installed it, that's the plumber's problem. He's coming out to do it on his dime.
Yep.
And it's his warranty. So, again, those are nice little secrets in this process that you got to have the right contractor out there. And there's right contractors out there and there's wrong contractors. So
ask the questions.
Yeah, that's a good one there. So here's one we talked about a couple weeks ago with Robin Daly. Pet peeve of mine. Buying cheap paint. People go, it's $25 a gallon. Who cares? Really, really good paint. If you get into the designer luxury paints, you're $125, $150 a gallon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's the really expensive stuff. The problem is that if you buy cheap paint and you go put it on the wall, let's say you're taking it from white to a color. Let's say you want to paint a blue wall.
Okay.
You put the cheap paint up there. You want to look at the paint. You're at the home center. That stuff's on sale for $27. Man, that stuff's $55. Whew. Nope. If you try to test and you mix the exact same color between those brands, between the 25 and the $55 gallon paint, that $25 gallon of paint will probably cost you, when you're all said and done, more than the $55.
Just need more than one coat, or
Yeah, because you'll put it up there. You'll put one coat up, and you're like, man, that's splotchy. Mm-hmm. Now, you put the first coat on the other stuff, you get like 85% coverage. You're like, oh, that's pretty good. It might take, depending on the color, depending on the paint, it might take 3 coats of that paint to equal your first coat of the other paint. So you might put 1 coat of paint up and then another light secondary coat with $50 gallon price stuff. You got 2 coats there. So let's call that 2 coats in a room. Let's call it small room, 1 gallon.
Okay.
For 2 coats. Well, if you do 3 coats, 4 coats, maybe 5 coats because you got a deeper color. So now you've got 2.5 times that.
Right.
So now you just painted it. You paid more money for the paint
And
than if you
spent
bought
twice as long doing the project.
What's your time worth? Exactly. So that's where that stuff gets nailed. And so again, that's one of those things you got to be really careful with. Don't buy cheap paint. At least if you're going in there and you're spending 30, 40, 50 bucks a gallon, guess what? You got something that's going to be pretty reasonable out there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go spend the big money on it, but get something that's going to clean up and nice, you
Yeah.
know. Once you've painted with good paint, you don't want to go back. So that's just one of those lessons learned. All right, next one. Buying a cheap toilet.
Oh boy.
This is one of those ones that I rail on this all the time. You know, my favorite brand of toilets, and they've never paid me a dime nor even given me a free toilet. Hint, hint, Toto toilets. They have never done that. And I've sold hundreds of their toilets over the years because they are durable, they're made, and people go, who's Toto? You realize that Toto internationally sells more toilets than Kohler and American Standard combined.
Wow. You pointed them out to me at K-Biz.
Yeah.
You're like a little kid. Look, there. There's Toto.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a kid in a candy store at K-Biz.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool stuff, but they're just quality stuff. And here's the difference. One, you could put it in there, and you can literally forget about that thing for about a decade. Just going to work perfectly. But here's the deal. Water's not getting any cheaper out there. And if you live in the city of Portland, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
For a city that rains so much, I don't know how it gets that expensive, but it does. Here's the deal, though. Think about it. If you've got a 1.6 gallon toilet that you have to flush twice every single time you use it, you're spending thousands of dollars in the city of Portland a year over. You can spend $1,000 a year in water over
Wow.
what that other toilet would cost. Because if you've got a family of 4 in there and they're using that 3 times a day and you've got that many gallons through and you're having to flush it at least twice, that toilet will pay for itself by buying a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, in most home centers, if you're buying that under $200 price point toilet, you're not getting a good one. And I know we're going to have people that are going, hey, I bought a $150 one, it worked great. You got lucky.
Yeah.
You are the unicorn. Because I'll be honest, they don't work well. The interior parts are cheap. You're not going to get a long life out of them. And if you get a Toto, you're just going to be good to go. It's like me talking about Panasonic vent fans. I don't use anybody else for bathrooms and laundry.
Right.
That's who you use. That's all you need to do. So go down to your local plumbing store. Chown Hardware is one. You can go to George Moreland here. Everybody's got their local, Ferguson's, whatever. Who's in your neighborhood? Deal with your local plumbing store and get the right ones.
Yeah, so this way you're not duct taping the little ball and chain inside like I did several times in my townhouse.
Yep. That's the key right there. And those were just builder-grade toilets.
Yeah.
So that's another one here. All right. Last one, not maintaining your roof. Think about that. Not maintaining your roof. Oh, okay, I'm going to put the roof up there and forget about it. If you're in the Northwest here, on the west side, on the wet side of the mountains, that moss and mildew, mold, got to keep that clean up there. I'll be honest, I don't like getting them on the roof unless I have to,
Yeah.
especially if you got a 2-story house. The roofer that did your job, I would have them come out and do once or twice a year, do a maintenance check on your roof and have them clean it.
Okay. Is that a spendy?
A few $100.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, a few $100. And if they got to repair something, it might be a little more.
Right.
Here's the deal. First off, if you hire, you get these clowns going around that are taping stuff on your house. Hey, I'm going to be pressure washing your neighborhood. Don't put them on your roof because they're going to get up there with a pressure washer and they're going to blow all the aggregate off your roof. So if you've got a 50-year warranty up there, on your roof and you get a clown up there with a pressure washer that don't know what they're doing, they can make that roof be a 5-year roof. And now you're going to spend $25,000 fixing it down the road. It's that simple. So don't hire some plain pressure washing company to come do your roof, because I'll be honest, do you want to trust them with a $25,000 investment up top? No, you really don't. I would have a roofing company come out and do it. Somebody that's going to stand behind the work, that knows how to get up there and clean the roof. I would much rather see him come out there and take, and treat your roof with zinc or whatever they're going to do up there. Let the moss mildew die once it's dead and it's starting to break down, then come up and clean it so they're not up there trying to pressure wash your roof. You can do thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars damage to a roof if you just have some clown up there with a pressure washer doing damage. So that's the big one. So, all right, everybody. Well, in teasing, we're going to talk a little bit about the kind of the future of Around the House. And I'm gonna walk some fine lines here right now. So I'll let this cat out of the bag. We have this show,
right,
which we're just wrapping up now. Next week, after 31 years, it'll be the anniversary of Around the House. Will be the last show on KXL.
Not the last of Around the House.
Not the last of Around the House with Eric G, but this will be the last show on KXL. They're going to be putting other programming on there. That's their decision. And you know something? We've got some big news planned. Now, if you're listening in on the KONA in the Tri-Cities, next week, we're going to be having some fun. We're going to be doing a live show.
Yeah, we are.
Just for KONA in KONA. So we're going to be doing a Tri-Cities show there live. So what are you going to do? I'm going to put up this week where you can listen to this thing live on KONA, where you can stream it. If you want to call in, you can have some fun. We're going to do a live show just for the Tri-Cities. It's kind of my homecoming. I wanted to do a homecoming show in the city where I grew up with friends and family, with the kids and everything else. We're going to go back and do a special KONA show in the Tri-Cities. I'll put that up this week. We'll be teasing a little bit. But here's the good news. You want to know the station you're going to find me at in Portland?
Can we say it?
We can't.
I didn't
There'll
think
be some press releases this week. I will let you know what that is coming up shortly. So we've got just a couple details to go through. I got to sign on a dotted line, and you know something? We'll be ready to go. And so we'll be doing that. That show will air on the 13th of Saturday, April 13th. That will be our new show. Now, all of you out there that are in Eugene or Bend or Tri-Cities, the show's going to continue on the same channels you've been listening to. So if you're on, KONA, you're down at KACI, looks like we're all good to go. We're going to keep going. So that's going to be on the Envision network that I've partnered with. They are the largest national syndication company that's privately owned.
Yep.
And we're going to be teaming up with them. There's another network we're going to be teaming up here with that will get announced just next week. Yeah, exactly. So stay tuned for that. All right. Well, Julie, thanks for coming on the show today. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening to Around the House.
Around the House with Eric G is designed by Eric G LLC. All rights reserved, copyright 2019. We will be back next week. If you missed part of the show, check out the podcast and all the shows at AroundTheHouseOnline.com. Remember, measure with a micrometer, mark with chalk, and cut with an axe. Thanks for listening to Around the House.
We're all over the radio.